Everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Ruskin. I'm the Business Development Director at Trace Financial. and I'm here to promote a product called Transformer. But my main aim for this hour talk is to talk about mastering the complexity between SwiftMT and ISO 20022. Now, you can replace... I keep looking back here, there's no screen. You can replace SwiftMT with anything. You know, it could be EDI, it could be X12, it could be Standard 5, it could be Nature, it could be anything. But at the end of the day, everyone is looking to this migration towards 20022. So I've chosen SwiftMT because it's something I know a little bit about, so I wanted to go through that. And this hour is mainly here to tell you what I have found listening to customers and their pain points, you know, excusing the pun of 20022 and pain, but their pain points of trying to migrate to this format, because the initial reaction is that it's 20022, it's standard, everyone uses 20022. That's the point. It's like, there's a few little things, little tweaks that you may find, and so this is why I'm going to try and go through some of the questions, answer them the best I can. I don't have a silver bullet, I can't solve everything. And you may also notice there is the XML and JSON, because that is the one thing I am here to sort of promote, is that 20022 is not just XML. It's also JSON as well. It is agnostic to what the format is. It's, at the end of the day, a tag-separated format. You have a tag, you have a value. It could be anything. Now, another major trend I've seen in the industry are APIs. Banking APIs wanting to sort of send information over APIs. And the main format of APIs is JSON. People like JSON, it's nice and compact. It's the format du jour. Everyone wants to use JSON, so I'm here to also show you that it's not a problem. You can use XML, you can use JSON. I'm here to tell you why you could do this. Now, ISO 20022 adoption covers quite a few different markets. It's not just payments. Okay? Fortunately, we are going to be concentrating on the top right. I am not here to talk about corporate actions on 20022, you'll be pleased to know. What I am here to talk about is why we're here. Why are we here today? Why are we here this week? We're all looking towards 20022 migration. Why? Well, one of the main reasons is a lot of the payment services, a lot of customers, a lot of new people want to migrate to 20022. A lot of our customers are using, 20022 as their canonical format. Absolutely fine. So if you're not currently on 20022, or you're thinking, I'll just do it later, you know, Swift has decreed it's 2025, I got some time, it'll be fine. It's XML or JSON, what's the big deal? This next part is quite important as well when you're onboarding new clients. I find that when I speak to our customers who are banks, their main problem is that, okay, we deal in these formats. We've dealt in these formats for decades. Now we've got these challenger banks. We've got new players in the market. They want to start sending us 20022. But my systems don't talk that. If I want to get a message out of my back office and I'm sending it somewhere else, how do I get it from that proprietary format into 20022? What versions am I going to use? And that's the next point. You may find during this hour I will answer questions before they come up. It's like some sort of sixth sense I have, or I may have done this before. But the point is that you want to protect your legacy systems that don't talk this language, okay? Another requirement I see quite a lot is my back office system, my reconciliation system, speaks this language. I have talked to the provider, and they are going to charge me X amount to upgrade this. And I don't want to pay X amount. I want to pay something smaller. I want to be able to protect my systems, and then eventually, because I've got this problem now, you may think it's in a few years' time, you've got this problem now. Let's get this done now, and eventually we can start upgrading as well, okay? So I'm not saying leave your back office systems, you know, using the proprietary formats. I'm saying you want to be upgrading them, but in the meantime, you should be looking to getting this ready now, testing it now. So what are the common questions? This is the most common question I see. Well, that's great, Paul. I want to go from SwiftMT into 20022. How do I do that? Where are these specs? Where are these mythical unicorn specs? The answer to that is Swift themselves created some specs between MT and MX, 20022 they call MX, 2011, I think, and I'm going to look around the room and someone's going to correct me. I think it's 2011. And that's what people have been using. Okay? Now, since 2011, those specs have not been updated. Now, between 2011 and 2019 now, aren't we? 2019. You will have had 8 years of Swift upgrades. So every year, November, go live, let's upgrade the MT messages. You will have 2022 upgrades. I talked to one customer who thought, oh, it's 2022, it's one format. And I said, oh, what's your, not variant, but what is your version number? I'm like, it's a pain message. I say, but what version of pain? There are 8 different versions of pain at the moment for a 001. I don't know. Aren't they all the same? I was like, no, these standards are changing. It's not like we'll go to ISO 2022, that's it, carved in stone, that's the end of it. No, they're going to keep coming and coming and coming. Okay? So we have a list of messages that go between SwiftMT and MX and vice versa. And another question would be, well, where's the MT300? I want to go from MT300 into 2002. I was like, I don't know where that is. If the specification's not there, we can't build it. So it's going to be best effort case. We get a business analyst, he'll sit there and go, right, these are the fields in the 300, these are the fields in camped, pain, packs, whatever you're going to use, and then they'll have to build it themselves. So there's not a standard spec for every single message. Fortunately, you might find some, you may not sometimes, and therefore you're going to have to build them yourself. Okay? This one is the bane of my life. All right, I've got MT101, and I'm going to go to packs. Throw it through the specification. Why is it failing? It's an MT message. It passes on the Swift network. What's the problem? Now, the problem here is that not every single MT101 or 103 or 202 or whatever you want to use is going to be a valid to go to an MX. It's not like it's a silver bullet, everything goes across. There are a lot of rules that happen on the 20022 side. BIC information, remittance info, name and address. In a Swift message, you just get 4 times 35 characters of name and address. Whereas ISO 20022, you've got postcode, zip code, city. How do I get this clob of field, and then sort of strip it out? Now, Swift have done a really great job of actually sort of figuring out the first line, second line, and what should be going in there. So they are helping you, but you will still need to develop that situation. And then going back the other way, you've still got to develop the situation of taking individual fields and concatenating them all together and getting them on to a Swift MT message. As I said, I've already mentioned this. What version am I going to use? Am I using pane 1, pane 2, pane 3? Pane 1. Okay, what version of pane 1? Oh, version 8. Okay, well, version 9's coming. What are you going to do then? I don't know. I don't know. I've got to maintain multiple different versions. This customer wants version 3. This new payment standards wants version 8. I've got a mapping. How on earth am I going to keep up with all of these challenges? And then finally, of course, November will come along. We've just released the 2019 Swift library. It will go live in November. Then the specs for 2020 will come out. I'm going to get this joke out of the way now. People ask me, what's going to happen next year? And I say, I don't have 2020 vision. Yes, yes. Yeah, I didn't work at home either. And then finally, how do I create these mappings that are either going to consume or produce XML or JSON? I've never seen somebody's face drop when I mentioned, oh, do you want XML or JSON? And they said, what do you mean? It's like, I thought 2002 is XML. I was like, it's not. It can be anything. So that means I've got to write another mapping. I've got to write a mapping to go to pane for XML, and I've got to write a mapping to go to JSON. It's like, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, okay? But I'll tell you later. But these are the common questions. I'm hoping some of these have come up in your requirements. I'm guessing you're sitting here because it's either too cold outside or you actually have projects that are going towards 2022. So hopefully these are the questions you have already answered, and you're just here to see if I get the right answer. I don't have the right answers. I have an idea. I've seen enough people do it. I've seen it done badly. I've seen it done well. So I can at least advise what I think the best scenarios are and the best cases, but I am not the oracle. Okay, so it's enough words on a screen. I can't be bothered with them. Let's do a picture, okay? So this is your back office system, okay? It's been there for years. It works beautifully. Everyone is happy. There's the Swift network, and let's send some messages to and from Swift from our back office. Payment messages, whatever you want, okay? Everyone's happy. Utopia. Take the rest of the year off. New payment initiative comes along. And it says, right, we need it in, there we go. I want a pain message, and I need an XML, and I'm using pain 001 version 3. So you gather your business analysts, you say, right, we need to make this spec. It's either available or we're going to build it ourselves. So let's just say we build it ourselves, okay? So I've got a 101, needs to go to a pain 01. I've built that mapping. That little icon is transformer. You can use whatever. I am not here to sell you a product. I'm here to help, okay? That could be anything. You could write that in code. I don't really mind. But you will have something that is making this conversion. Next week, that's gone well. The payment initiative, beautiful, went live, everyone happy. Then client A sees that and says, that's a really good idea. I can't get on that payment initiative, but I can send the messages through you, and you can do it for me. Yeah, sure, why not? We're using Pain 03 as well. So we can use the same mapping. This is brilliant, everyone's happy. Apart from the fact they're using JSON. They want to consume and produce JSON. It's the same mapping, it's the same logic, but now you've got to start thinking, getting your business analysts together again and going, well, do we talk JSON? Can we export schemas? Can we import schemas? What do we do? Can we reuse this mapping? And I have seen customers build the same mapping to go to 2 different outputs, i.e. XML or JSON. It's the same message, but it's the same, different formats. It shouldn't be the way. Then client B comes along. This is going swimmingly. Payment initiative's live. Client A, we've muddled through it. We've got it in JSON now. Then client B gives you the rub. They want to use version 2. It's got different fields. Now we're going to have to probably do a brand new mapping. Okay? So now you're supporting, in a worst case scenario, 3 different mappings. One to go to Pain 01 XML, one to go to Pain 01 JSON, now one to go to Pain 01 with a version 2. How am I going to do this? How do I keep maintaining all of these different ones? And this is a very simple scenario. I haven't even touched on the other payment messages you're going to be dealing with. And then we'll put an extra bit of complexity. Let's forget Swift entirely. If you're running X12, EDI, Standard 5, you've got all of these extra ones that all need to be migrated to 2002. The road to Damascus, right at the end, everything will be 2002. Everything in this screen will be 2002. And then we'll be, as I said, take the rest of the year off. We'll go and sit on our yacht somewhere and it'll be great. But at the moment, you've got to A, migrate to it, B, keep all the variants together. I was thinking of a C while I had a drink. And C, keep everyone happy. Because again, client C is going to come in wanting something new as well. I haven't got client C, I didn't get enough room, but we'll get the idea. Okay? So, what we provide within Transformer is the MTMX library. And I already know some of our customers are already in this room or are currently using this. It's based on the Swift standards that I said were written in 2011. And they have been maintained by us basically on a best effort basis. We are planning to, every time Swift updates, every time 2002 updates. So if you look at the library now, it's got, Pain to, MT101 to Pain. And there are 8 different mappings for 8 different versions. And if you want to use, I don't know why, but if you want to use Swift 2017, then you have to go back to the other library, and in 16, and 15, and 14. Fortunately, that doesn't happen, okay? So we have the Swift MT to MX, Natura going to 2002, faster payments in the UK is going there as well. Everything is moving. Payments, we're here at Payments Canada. Everyone is moving this way, okay? Now, the other thing to remember when it comes to 2002 is it doesn't matter if it's XML or JSON, you can ignore that. For Swift MT messages, you have lots of cross-field validation rules. Now, what I mean by cross-field validation rules are if field A is present, then field B must be there. Or if the currency A is dollars, then currency B must be euros. Just examples. In an XML or JSON schema, you have no way of creating cross-field validations. You can say this field is mandatory, this field should have 6 characters, this should be a date. But you cannot say, if the postcode is there, the state must be this. Can't be done. So you have to add these rules on top. So not only are you trying to get a standard, converting this to 20022, if you've got extra rules on top, SEPA is a classic example. Single European Payment Association base their messages on 20022, but there are these cross-field validations that are on top of it as well. So you're not only just mapping to this format, you also need to make sure that they're correct. So how do you do that? That is all part of the library with this, SwiftMT to MX, and we do it for the other libraries as well. You can create your own validation rules. You can turn off all the validation rules if you want. When I mentioned earlier about, well, this SwiftMT message is valid on the Swift network. Why is this failing in this mapping? You just say, well, just turn off those rules, and then it will work. We add the rules because that is what has been decreed. So therefore, we've added them. But it's configurable enough to say, all right, Bank A wants that. Bank B doesn't want that. So turn them off for Bank A, keep them in Bank B. You've got the same mapping. You can just configure it nicely. And that's the idea behind it. Now, I am, JSON is feels like my godchild because I sort of look after it and I love it to bits. And I very rarely hear bad words said about it. So, I'm just warning you. I'm not a big guy, but don't mess with me with JSON. JSON has blown up recently, mainly around the API networks. I'm guessing most of you are either using APIs internally in your banking system, want to use APIs, are providing APIs. Open banking is, again, a very big subject du jour. I was at a Red Hat conference last week, and Red Hat is all open source. So open source, open banking, everyone's on board. Brilliant stuff. So how does JSON help me, or how does JSON hinder me? Now, in all honesty, it shouldn't be a problem. It really shouldn't. It's the same structure. It's the same message. It's just the tags are different, all right? I know it goes deeper than that, but let's just keep it high level. Are there any developers in the room? Shoot, okay. I am not going to argue. Basically, I'm keeping this super high level, but I know there's a lot more complexity around the JSON standard naming conventions. For example, for ISO 20022, I thought it was just a case of, well, here's the XML tag. We'll just make that the JSON tag. What's the problem? It's not that low. You can use snake case. You can have completely different tags as well. They haven't defined what actually the tags are. I thought it's just, well, it's called pool payment on this side. Can't I call it pool payment on this side with capital letters? And a developer would say, no, you put a lowercase letter at the start. So you need that configuration as well. It just keeps getting more and more. It's like, this should be simple. I thought the whole point of this was, let's migrate here, and this is going to be great. But you've got all this extra stuff you need to think about. And I'm learning every day as well. In all honesty, as I said, I'm not the oracle. I still learn every day what's happening. And it's just trying to make your life easier. Now, the key element there is the third point, something called JSON Interoperability. Now, when I mention JSON Interoperability, what this means is that you can take any structure of data and then either produce it or consume it as JSON. Now, I wish I had what I'd really have loved to have done is just put the transformer up and just click some buttons, but I couldn't. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as simple as I can, all right? Say you have a CSV message, comma-separated message. So it's Paul, comma, Ruskin, comma, my age, comma, date of birth, okay? Now, the JSON interoperability, what that will allow you in Transformer to do is to take that message as CSV, not create any mapping, just click a button, and then what will be outputted is the JSON payload of that message. And that is a very, very key element. That has absolutely blown up the product for our customers, because the first thing they will say to me is, well, can I do that to a SwiftMT message? Can I take an MT101? I've got a customer who says, I can't give you Swift payments. One of our payment provider customers goes to sort of nations that don't have very good Swift connectivity, and they say, look, just give us your payments in any format and we'll do your Swift payments for you. It's a common model, obviously. They will say, well, I don't do Swift. I do CSV, and I can do, for example, let's just say JSON. I can do JSON. So, okay, fine. Go into Transformer, export the MT101 as a JSON schema, and give it to your customer and go, there you go, there's your MT101. Can you populate that JSON schema? Well, yeah, because it's got, string and date and whatever, and we will apply the rules. Yeah, fine. So they'll populate that. When it comes into Transformer, it will look at that JSON structure and go, oh, that's an MT101. And then it will convert it straight to a Swift MT payment. There's no mapping. You don't have to drag fields across. It's just, oh, I understand that format. Here's the Swift MT message, and then it gets thrown out the door. And then you go back the other way. I have a Swift MT 103. Let's convert that into a JSON payload, or a 20022 payload, or an EDI payload. It really doesn't matter. Now, fortunately, when we did this development, people didn't really use JSON. It was about 3 years ago we did this, and it was a sort of early stages. Our MD was very excited about it. He used to, basically was the development manager of Transformer, and it's like, we are going to do this. And now it's blown up with APIs and JSON. It's now perfect. Because now I can say to my customers, that previous slide when I showed you, it's the same mapping, one's XML, one's JSON, fine. It's the same mapping, I'll just turn one thing on. I want this output as XML, I want this output as JSON. Whereas before that, and if you're doing this in code, you will have to code 2 mappings to go to these 2 different formats. Now, I've got plenty of time, so are there any questions at the moment? Stunned silence. Brilliant. XML mainly at the moment. Yeah, to be honest, I'm going to be brutally honest. I've seen very few people using JSON when it comes to 20022. I've seen a few, and it's normally around the APIs. But for customers who have got a canonical model based on 20022, they're usually using XML, sorry. It could change, but I could be wrong. Within Swift? Mm-hmm. Yes. That is, from my knowledge as well, I have seen that as well.
So at some point, let's say they do that tomorrow, and it's official syntax.
Yep.
So within how you create a JSON,
Mm-hmm.
there will be some design rules, and this is the way you use the JSON tag
Mm-hmm.
and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So until that's available,
Yep.
the only actual syntax we have to use today, officially, to be an official ISO message, is XML. But when they add JSON tomorrow, then we can use JSON.
Now, I think that goes back to the naming convention of what they're going to use for the tags in JSON. So, I don't either, frankly.
They're working on it.
Absolutely. So one of our developers is on this on the board of this. So he is on the user group and he tells me what happens. So at the moment, from my actually, I don't even know if I can tell you this because it's on the board. I just suddenly realised, well, let's not give away too much.
So I have a second question.
Did I answer the first? Oh, great.
The second question is, I've heard,
Yeah,
you know, I'm not real technical.
and I am.
I've heard that if you're talking about transforming
Yeah.
an XML instance into a JSON instance,
Mm-hmm.
there are some hierarchies that are not represented exactly the same way in JSON. I heard there are maybe some more complex rules that XML
I have not come across that. I'm not saying they don't exist. I should have put a sort of disclaimer at the front. You know, this is my own knowledge and experience. Very quickly, back to your first question. Sorry. Our customers using JSON is normally either internally or with other customers, with providers. When it comes to payment initiatives, I've not seen a lot with JSON. No. So it is normally, bank to bank. Yeah, no, bank to bank. JSON, I've seen bank to bank, mainly XML, but a lot of it they have been doing JSON. When it comes to APIs, definitely JSON, all JSON. Again, I'm not saying it's always going to be JSON. Again, this is just what I have seen. Second question. Oh, yeah, Jason, right. Second question. Now, I know there has been talk about the tag names in JSON, whether it's going to be snake case, whether it's going to be lowercase letter, whether it's just going to rip out XML and put it there. I'm trying not to, shameless plugs of the product. When we've done our schemas, and when you import JSON schemas or XML schemas, for JSON especially, you'll get given the choice of, do you want to use the same tag? Do you want to use snake case? Do you want to rip out what you've currently got and put the different values in? So we were trying to be everything to everyone. Yeah, flexible is a better word. I've just so that's the way we've gone through it, and that's because, I don't build the product, and we've got developers who worry about that for me. I'm sorry, I haven't completely answered that question, but that's about as much as I understand of what the hold-up is, as it were. When I've read there must be some people from Swift here. When Swift decide, when they're going for their, the period where you can send 2002 and MT payments, at the moment, I believe you can only send it as XML. I believe. Okay, right. Okay, good. You'll also notice most of my answers will start, I believe. So when I say I believe, I'm expecting someone to jump in and go, no, Paul, you're talking rubbish. So, I am expecting that, and I'm happy with that. Sorry, any other questions? Yes?
Which version of ISO do you use in your opinion?
The latest, and that's an awful answer. But it is, it's the latest. I mean, at the moment, a lot of our customers are on version 7, but a lot of our customers are on version 7. Do you know my customers? Have you been spying? No. I know that is the latest, but I still believe a lot of our customers are on version 7. Yeah.
Wouldn't there be a risk that there are customers in Europe, for example, that they are all on version 3?
Yep.
So they would probably want to stay on version 3.
Absolutely. I mean, if you are just talking about payment initiatives, will be decreeing this is the version we're using. Of course. If I am Bank A and I'm talking to Bank B and we said, look, version 3 was the best version 3 forever, they can do what they like. But you also have to therefore maintain that version 3, whereas everyone else is on version 7. The biggest problem, and I think this is coming up in one of the slides, is how do I maintain not just multiple versions, but variants on those versions? I spoke to my wife this morning, and she was saying, are you mentioning supplementary data in your talk? And I was like, there's enough complexity to... Right, there we go, right. So no, we're not mentioning supplementary data. But I've seen now people are looking at the 2802 standard and going, there's not enough fields in here. We're paying for these messages. We might as well throw a load more information in there. So now they're using a field called supplementary data. And they are just cramming as much stuff in there as they can. But I said I wasn't going to mention it in my talk, so I'm not. So, I'm keeping my promise. Because it's an incredibly complex subject. So in answer, I know it's an awful answer, but it's the latest one. It's whatever your payment initiative has decreed, this is the version we're going to use. And if me and you were talking, I say, version 3 was the best, wasn't it? We love version 3. Let's just use version 3. Then we'll use version 3. Yeah. Does that help? Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
Coming back to XML,
It's not a competition. It's not a verse. Although I think I put verses, didn't I? Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much, yeah. It has to be. I'm looking at you. I don't think you can actually have an XSD schema or a Swagger with cross-field validations in it. I think you just say, this is either a repeating field, it's optional, these are the values, enumerations. Great.
backward compatibility, we just try to avoid breaking changes. Right now, we're an XML shop. Is JSON the future? All right.
No.
We're going to go down, I actually think when these companies Probably can go with some kind of managed API, microservice thing, supporting,
Microservices are all over.
and behind, we're going to make it configurable.
When I said I won't hear a bad word said against JSON, I won't hear a bad word said against XML either. I am not. This is not two different camps. I am not Team JSON or Team XML. I'm just Team. Let's get this done, please, as quickly and easily as possible. I've completely forgotten your question. I'm really sorry. Oh, did I? That's twice I've done that now. This is really good. I'm going to pinch myself. I'm not sleeping at the moment. Okay. So that was it. That was what I was going to mention. Okay. Actually, that's just flagrant advertising. So variants. That's what I wanted to mention. It's not just variants in the different versions. I'm going to say this phrase, and it's the phrase I hate the most whenever anybody says it, is, oh, we're using a Swift-like message, or we're using a 20022-like message. What? For me, a Swift-like message, it's a binary state. It's Swift or it's not Swift. I don't care if you're overriding things. The Swift My Standards portal is amazing, by the way. I'm not saying what they do on there is absolutely amazing what they do. It's when they say, oh, well, actually, we've added an extra field in there. Or we're using your MTMX rules, but we're doing it slightly different. We don't want that rule. We've added another rule. That's an optional field. We're not even going to allow it. Fine. You can do that. You can't obviously say that mandatory field is now optional. You can't do that. But you can say this optional field is mandatory. My version of this 20022 message, I want this field every single time. Or that optional field, if you give it to me, I will reject it. So you've got these extra variants, okay? So now if I haven't given enough complexity to this, I'm going to throw in an extra one as well of I now have to support, I've built this MTMX standard. I've built this Natcha to 20022. I've built this. However, I now need to maintain that, but for Bank B, they now want to say, don't give me that field, or always give me this version. How am I going to do that? Am I going to have to redo the entire mapping again? Am I just going to sort of take bits and pieces and whatever? And it's the main, and again, this is my experience. We've sold this MTMX library to many of our customers, and they use it and they love it. The first thing they do when they get this library is override it. First thing. No one has ever used our mappings from the box, plugged it straight in and gone, ta-da, it works. Because everybody wants something different. Everybody. So when the question comes up, and I've answered it enough times, what I tell them to do is, right, create, I'm sorry if I'm sort of going into mappings and whatever, but just basically say, look, call our mapping that does all of the rules, all of the logic, all of everything you need to do. And then right at the end, you then add on your 20% that customer A needs, or the 30% that customer B needs. Oh yeah, but I was overriding it. I've already done it once, and now you're telling me to do it again. Once you start overriding libraries or changing your golden source, it doesn't matter if it's transformer in code or whatever, you will have, say, all right, I'm going to ignore transformer. I've written everything in Java. Brilliant. Write that mapping in Java. When you've got that 20% you need to do, put it at the end. You don't want to be mucking around with your golden source. Get that one working, and then everything else will be a variant. I know it's not, what's the word, performance rich, because you're overriding things. It is just going to make your life easier. I am not the Oracle. This is my opinion, okay? But that is far and away the biggest pain point for people is I've got the mapping, but now customer A wants 20% different. Customer B wants 30% different. How am I going to keep everyone happy? And it's a case of try and find the golden source that everyone uses, and everything else you can then make into a different variant for different people. Yes, you're going to have to maintain it, but as I said, I don't have that silver bullet. Any other questions? Cool. Okay, right. So unfortunately, it's now the, hey, look how great we are, section of the presentation. So Trace has been around since early 80s, 1980s. I've been there for 20 years. So I've seen projects done brilliantly, and I've seen absolute trash. And I still get sort of flashbacks from different ones. But the idea is that you will find, if you've got your own tool, you keep using your tool. Keep doing what you're doing. The whole goal for everyone is to get to this promised land of 20.022, interoperability. What I'm telling you is that if you did want to speak to us, what we provide is a GUI that is basically being able to be used by business analysts. We are not a very complex, you need to know Java, you need to know C#, you need to know this to be able to code anything into this. If you can create a spreadsheet that says, I have a format here, and I have a format here, and field A goes to field C, and if this does this, and then concatenate this and copy substring, you can do this in the tool. That is the point of this tool, okay? That is our main selling point at the end of the day. When it comes to the runtime and you're running it through production, it's anywhere. It's on-premise, it's on cloud, it can be run by Camel, Java, C#. I've seen it run in Python. I've seen it run in pretty much anything. No one customer does the same thing, and that is our beauty. So here are a couple of, customers who've said nice things about us, which is always very nice. It's good. And what we kind of do. These are quotes from customers, and at the end of the day, we enable you to get your projects done quicker. I know that's a really vague way of saying it. Everyone's going to say that. Oh, we do it under time and under budget. We've got proof it can be done this way. There's a reason our customers stay with us a long time. And it's not just our handsome sales staff. It's actually, the product itself is pretty good as well. I'm talking about my colleague, not me, obviously. Hopefully you went to the talk yesterday to Mike Segal's talk, listening about 20.022 Labs and Payments Canada. Trace Financial is part of those labs. I think somebody called it a pioneer. No, sorry, I believe somebody called it a pioneer, so I'll cut myself some slack. But the idea is that using Transformer, you get a free evaluation of the tool. At the end of the day, seeing is believing. You just take the product and you play with it, and if you don't like it, you throw it away and we go our separate ways. But we find that when people start actually drilling into it, building the mappings, seeing how easy this is, deploying it, that's when they want to come back and talk. So that's why we're part of these labs as well. You're all migrating to 20.022 in Canada. You all need to go, well, I don't actually know if this thing works or not. I don't know if this is a valid payment. I don't know if I can map my EDI format into this. How do I do this? Let's take the evaluation. We'll build some mappings for you. You can build the mappings for yourself. It's actually just, there is no commitment. Just take it and play with it. So the labs, I think, is a really exciting idea for Accounting Canada. I think it's a brilliant initiative because the question I have quite a lot is, what do your other customers do for this? And it's almost like a security blanket. It's like, what do they do? I think I know what I'm doing, but I want to know what someone else is doing. And I'm happy to give as many different examples as possible and help in any way. And even if you came to me and said, Paul, I don't want to use Transform, I want to use something else, but can you give me some advice? I am more than happy to do it. I get ribbed mercilessly by my college friends because apparently all I talk about is 20.022. So I'm more than happy to talk about it. I said I'm not the Oracle. I will help as much as I can for it. And you don't have to buy anything from me. I'm just happy to chat about it. I'm happy to chat about JSON and XML and pick a side. Let's battle till death. I don't care. It's just a bit of fun. But what Payments Canada have done is giving their participants the ability to say, look, lots of people have written articles. Here is a smorgasbord of articles you can read. Why don't you use some of these free tools? This company does free validation. This company will transform your tools for you. Our competitors are on this lab. I don't care. This is the whole point, is giving people choice. It would be worse if they said to the labs, right, we've got this one tool. Suck it. You've got to use it. You give everyone a chance to use what they want to use, That's what I want it to be, and that's why I'm really happy that we're part of it. I was a little bit overexcited when I got involved, to be honest. I had to be calmed down, which is a bit weird. I think the best thing I can give you right now is 20 minutes of your life back. There's only so much we can talk. I mean, 2022 for an hour is like, geez, this is going to be hard. Sorry, yes. There's questions. No, unfortunately not. We'll do semaphore. Hi. Please. Thank you. I really appreciate that. No, thank you. Yep. Can I ask a question? Do you accept in JSON? Mm-hmm. Can I? No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. I'm joking. Cool. You know what? I was going to actually parrot what you said, but I guarantee I'm going to get that wrong. 2021 is when not the migration starts, but people should be starting sending 20.022 messages on the Swift network, but they can still coexist with MT. They must be able to receive 20.022 messages by 2021 on the Swift network, otherwise it will be nacked. For those connected BICs, and you should use Transformer. No, sorry. The Swift have offered a transformation service for this. As I said, I'm here to pitch Transformer, but you do what you want to do. Yeah, no, you should be. You should be. Yep. And the publicly available, is it available now or is it under preparation? A rough time? That is the key point. By the end of the year, Swift will be releasing the specifications for them to go from MT into 20.022. One flavor of 20.022. Each of the messages. So the key element there is kind of what I've been trying to drive at. Use whatever you want to use, but make sure you use the specifications that Swift are giving you. When you go to your provider, whether it's us, whether it's someone else, and you say to them, oh, you've got a library that transforms to 20.022, make sure they are using the specifications. If they are offering that to you now, they are either lying or they're sort of spying on you because they're not available, okay? I think I said at the start, it's recorded, I think I said at the start, we have an MTMX library that was based on the 2011 standards. I am not promising you this is going to be correct for 2021. I do not live in La Hulpe. I do not know that is what is happening. But the new specifications, for example, that is, for example, that I'm going to speculate, please I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to speculate, because a customer will say to me, your MTMX libraries, is that going to be able to do this for the 2021 go live? And I say, I don't know. I cannot tell you that. If you ask me as a gut feeling, I think it will be more an evolution rather than a revolution. I'm not asking, you know, I don't think they are just going to throw everything out and go, right, let's rip it out and start again. I could be horribly wrong. And I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. That is my gut feeling. Disclaimer, gut feeling. Okay? Any questions? Anyone want 15 minutes of their life back? Thank you so much for your time, everyone. I really appreciate it.